This is a review of the HK Gaming Mira-s. Now, before I get started, I'm just going to say that I now have a Discord server. I will put a link for it in the description of this video, and yes, if anyone wants to be notified when I go live on Twitch, or when I upload a new video, or anything of the sort, join the Discord server. There's channels for discussing mice, there's channels for discussing fucking mousepads, there's channels for discussing aim, so if you're into this shit that I make videos about, I highly recommend it. Also, you guys might notice that my mic sounds a little bit different. It's because I'm now using an XLR mic instead of using, the old shitty USB one that I had. So, it's because I need to have it, go to both my main PC for streaming and my stream PC so I can actually stream and have audio work properly. So, and that's not possible with a USB mic. But anyway, yes, this is a review of the HK Gaming Mira-s. Before I talk about anything with the mouse itself, let me talk about HK Gaming. There are a lot of allegations from G-Wolves about HK Gaming stealing their mouse shapes, infringing copyright, and doing a whole ton of shady shit. HK Gaming has threatened to sue people who have negative reviews of their products. And overall, they seem like a very shady company at very least. And yeah. So I, just for that reason alone, wouldn't recommend purchasing anything from HK Gaming. But there are other reasons I'll get to why you shouldn't purchase this mouse in particular. So, let's start with the positives of this mouse first. One, the build quality. Well, physically, the shell itself doesn't really creak or anything. It doesn't feel really weak. It feels pretty solid. Yeah, the cable is mediocre. It's not special. It's not especially bad either. The clicks feel pretty good, actually. I prefer much lighter and much more snappy clicks, so the clicks on this mouse are quite nice. I don't know what switches they are, but whatever they are, they feel pretty good for my preference. The side buttons are quite small, which some people might be annoyed by. I personally like that because it allows me to, try really weird grip styles and be totally fine with, not accidentally actuating the side buttons. I also really do like the shape because it allows me to grip like this, which I sometimes do for Osu or for Kovacs or whatever. But if that was all I had to say about this mouse, I wouldn't be making a YouTube video. If you go back in my YouTube channel and look at a lot of my earlier Kovacs plays, this was the mouse that I used for them. Why? Because, well, it was a usable mouse and it was good enough for what I was doing. And I'm also a very cheap person, and I hate spending money. So, when I spent, $45 on this, I was like, okay, cool, I'll have a new mouse for a little while. And I won't have to replace it, right? This isn't my first copy. And there's actually a good reason as to why this isn't plugged into my computer. So, my first copy of this mouse had two main issues. One, the right click would randomly actuate without me touching it, which that in and of itself rendered this mouse unusable for my use case. But my first copy also had this really, interesting issue of randomly making my Windows cursor stop moving, and it wasn't just the sensor was fucked or anything. If I were to plug in another mouse and try to move my cursor, it just wouldn't. If I tried to, do keyboard inputs, those wouldn't work either. I would have to restart my computer and just pray that it was working again, which it most of the time would be. But that means in the middle of a game, if a mouse stops working, I have to fucking restart my computer. I thought that would just be an issue with the first copy of this mouse that I received, but nope. This is my second one. It was fine for the first, 3 weeks, and then after that, it had that exact same really fucking weird issue, where all of a sudden my cursor would just stop registering input, I wouldn't be able to move my mouse in-game or on, any application, and if I were to plug in another mouse, it also wouldn't work. I tried uninstalling the device, I tried, through the, Windows, device manager thing. I tried installing all the firmware for it, which there is barely any documentation or anything, there's only the software and nothing else, there's not, actual firmware. And, I also tried, obviously using different USB ports. I tried even swapping the cable. None of those things even showed a sign of making it any better. So, I'm assuming it's just a design flaw with the mouse. I haven't really heard of anyone else having this happen. But the fact that it happened with 2 copies of only this mouse and no other mice I've ever used leads me to believe it's somehow an issue with this thing. I don't have the default feed on this because I don't fucking remember. There's some... oh, yeah, because I used to use, Lexips on this when it was my main mouse, and I took off the other feed because they would, be dragging my mouse pad, but then I took Lexips off to put on another mouse, and just put random pieces of PTFE on this just so I could move it around for a review without wanting to shoot myself. But, yeah, all things considered, this mouse is like a... God. It's like a fucking 3 out of 10. It's... If it was actually usable, it would be like a 6.5 out of 10 because it would be a pretty solid mouse. And it's like... It's not especially light either, so it's like fucking 62 grams, and for the size, you can get things that are a lot lighter, like the fucking G-Wolves Hades, which, if I'm not mistaken, is in like the 50s in terms of weight. But yeah, this thing has a host of ridiculous issues, has some of the worst, well, usability out of any mouse I've ever used in my entire life, and overall is more of a hindrance than anything else. I cannot do Kovacs gameplay for this video if I want my computer to be usable without having to restart it a couple of times. So, you guys aren't going to see me try and aim with this thing. I mean, I do have videos of me using it for Kovacs in the past, but yeah, yeah, this is overall not something I would recommend even to someone on a massive budget. I would much more highly recommend the fucking Razer Viper Mini or something of the sort, because that's cheap, but it's actually functional. And it's honestly insane that this thing has the performance issues that it does, despite the fact that it has a 3360. It's like, honestly confusing how it could be so bad. But yeah, that's my review of the HK Gaming Mira-s. Oh, also, I stream on Twitch, for those of you who don't know. I think I'll be streaming tonight at, like, fucking, 10 EST or something. So if you're interested in watching me fucking aim at bad guys in any random fucking video game, tune into that, and make sure to join the Discord server, because that is very epic.